Special products. Special products, as we mentioned before, if you're watching these videos in sequence, these are basically FOIL problems. Binomials times binomials. But special products means there's special instances where maybe we can get from point A to point B a little bit faster. Okay, so at first what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you how to identify these guys and then how to get faster from point A to point B. All right, so let's start off with a couple binomials times each other. Let's say k plus 5 and k minus 5. Now, notice we have the same exact terms. Everything's the same except for our signs. All right, and I bring that to your attention now because I want you to pay attention what those signs actually do. So in this case, this is a FOIL problem. So our first, right, k times k is k squared. Our outsides, so k times a negative 5 is negative 5k. Then we're going to come back in to our insides. So 5 times k is a positive 5k. And a 5 times a negative 5 for our last gives us negative 25. And when we combine like terms, which I said earlier, vast majority of the time you will, notice what it does to our insides and outsides. And that actually happens because of this positive and negative difference. All right, because when they're opposite signs, each and every time, those guys will go ahead and fall apart. They will be equal but opposites, which will just leave me with the k squared minus 25. So if I really wanted to do this problem, point A to point B, just a little bit faster, all I do is go, light bulb on, right? That's a horrible light bulb. But anyhow, I see those two guys. I can jump from there and just do my first and last because my FOIL, my insides and outsides, actually eliminate each other because of that guy. Okay, so first and last actually works. And it's going to take some time to do this, so work on this. Understand exactly what's going on. If you have to, go ahead, expand it out, do the FOIL completely, eliminate your outsides and insides, and it still works. It's just a little bit longer. The next problem I have for you is this guy. Well, if you remember our exponents, the exponent applies only to that thing in front of it, which is the parentheses, and I actually get a plus 8, two parentheses times each other with the a plus 8 contained within both of them. Well, now you're noticing you're multiplying the exact same things. So let's go ahead, let's FOIL this guy out. Let's see how this guy works. So we first times first is a squared. Take our outsides, which is plus 8a. Take our insides, which is also 8a. Emphasis on also 8a. And my last becomes 64. Okay? And as you notice, because both of these signs were actually the same, I actually get my outside and my inside guy to be the same. So now I have two of them. And two of them is very important because instead of adding it to itself, I can take one of them times 2, and that's essentially my shortcut here. So when I go ahead and simplify this guy out, combine like terms, that's a positive sign, by the way, plus 64. There is my answer for when doing those problems. Now, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to show you this exact same problem, and when I say also, I want you to remember, okay, these two guys, doing also another color here, give us the exact same thing. So what I want you to pay attention to is how I can get from point A, which is this guy, to point B a little bit faster just by recognition or the indicators that this problem presents in front of me. So let's go A plus 8 again. I'm going to leave it in those parentheses because I understand that I actually have two of those. And when I do, here's what's going to happen. All right, I'm going to separate that guy. I'm going to separate my first term from my second term. And when I square things, I get a squared on the front. On the back side or the last, I get plus 64. However, remember how I had those two terms, my outside and insides, that were the same? Here's where they're the same. Right here. They're both 8a. So if I multiply those two guys together in the red, I get 8a. And I can do that primarily in my head, right? And then I take that answer, this answer, times 2. So here's hopefully a step that we, as we're progressing right now and understanding the algebra a little bit better, I take 8a times 2 and get a positive 16 of those a's. There's my answer. Now, notice how I can take this, I can revert back to my last slide, and I can do away with a majority of the expansion of the exponential. I can do away with multiplying my outsides and insides, because if I've done it once, I've already done it the second time. I can just simply multiply it times 2, which is what I did right here, to get 16 of those a's instead of 8 a's. So hopefully that helps a little bit. And what they're going to do to you later on, what your publisher does, they do some nice stuff, right? Always in math, we try to make things a little bit tougher. Well, don't let it be. That's a cube. That doesn't work like you think it's going to work. This guy we have to kind of manipulate, if you will. All right, so let's manipulate this guy. This is an m minus 3 times an m minus 3. And I'm going to leave that as squared because we already know how to do that. Now, and you can reference back to the previous slide. And what I've done is I've made bases with exponents. So really, this guy right here is m minus 3 to the first. M minus 3 to the second here on the back side does get me that m minus 3 quantity cubed. So I've manipulated. We still got the same thing, but now what I've done is this guy here, I can now do exactly like I did the previous slide. So it becomes m squared on the front side. On the back side, I get negative 3 times a negative 3, which is positive 9. And then I have 2 of those negative 3 m's, which comes out to negative 6 m's. And then everything drops. And as you notice, this guy doesn't work exactly the way you thought it did. Even though some of you may get the outside numbers right on this problem, you're not going to get the insides at all. So now I have to distribute, which makes this m cubed minus m times negative 6m is a negative 6m squared, and the m times the positive 9 gives me positive 9m. Then I come back to the negative 3 term and distribute it, so I get negative 3m squared. Negative times a negative is a positive 18m, and a negative times a positive is a negative, and 3 times 9 is 27. And now I've got to combine like terms, so I get m cubed minus 9m squared plus 27m minus 27. Yes, I went through that a little bit faster, but you can always review and come back and look at these slides again. Hope this guys helps you in special products, because the faster we can do this with the understanding of how to do it, the better off we will all be.